Hey, you're with TheEZGZ. Today I thought I would spend some time and try to make a glass workstation. This is not going to work the way I thought it was over here. This is my torch, and you can see that this table is not going to be big enough, and need to expand that, have a little bit more organized. And although it is fireproof, being a lot of metal here, it's still not what I had in mind and what I saw at my son's shop. So to start with, I had this lumber outside in my backyard on the side of the garage. A neighbor down the street was building a deck, and they had a roll-off parked out in the street, and they were getting rid of a bunch of wood. I already got some of this hardy backer. This comes in 3x5/8 sheets. It's non-flammable. It's a concrete base type stuff. You score it and crack it like sheetrock, and I think the full-size sheet, a 3x5 workbench, is going to work for me. I thought I'd just sort of give you an overview before I started cutting things up. All I have is an old 7 1/4 inch skill saw, which isn't big enough to cut right through in one cut. So I may just make a cut and then either go around it or use a handsaw to finish it. Just basic tools and doing it on the cheap. Anyhow, I'm just going to keep plugging along. I think rather than just depend on screws to carry the weight, since this lower piece is going to be a shelf, I'm going to notch it and do it right. There you are. You're all covered with sawdust sitting on the tripod there. Well, this is what I got so far. I put a call into my son. I got a couple ideas I was going to bounce off of him. I decided to just go heavy duty all the way, and you know, it's cheaper to buy a full-size sheet than it is to get a little piece. And this is an odd dimension. This backer board is 3x5. So what I'm doing on this top is I'm thinking about putting this piece of 1x on the edge and leaving it hang out in the front. I was thinking about making it like at a bar where you have a padded edge, putting something on there. My son was telling me that he got a chair with armrests, and sometimes to rest his arms he can lean on the armrests and have it the glass there so that he can twirl it. And I thought I'd make this border so that the glass round stock won't roll off and land on the floor and shatter. It seems like you spend as much time thinking as you do working. I saw his bench. This is similar to what he had at home and down at his shop, so I'm trying to stay on that general theme. Alrighty, so we got our project done. Yes, sir. Let's go review a few things on it. We got our water fire extinguisher handy. We moved our oxygen acetylene over to the side. Later today, I got my account approved, so I'll have a 300-pound oxygen bottle and move that stuff out of the way. We've got our table, which is on wheels. It's pretty heavy. It's mostly redwood 2x4s and 2x6s with half-inch pine plywood for the shelving. I did put a back in there. I noticed as I patterned this after my sons that stuff does have a tendency to fall off the back, so I made that back enclosed as good storage. I did measure the shelf height so that I could get buckets and some of my tools specifically stored underneath there. You will have long pieces of glass. These come in much larger boxes. You may have them going this way and accessing your glass out the side. The sides are both open on both sides. I've got my natural gas. This glass operation is going to run off natural gas and oxygen instead of propane and oxygen. I have a special torch that was designed for that. I've got my first line of defense right here. This is my natural gas quick shut off right close to the torch itself if I get into trouble. I've got that hose, a 3/8 inch line, going to a space heater with another valve right up there, but I figured that was too far to reach in an emergency. All this glasswork that you see here is stuff that my son gave me that was projects that he started. I don't know what the deal was. As you saw in the video, I got these 4x4 scraps and I went ahead and drilled some holes so that you can stand your glass up instead of having it laying down on the table. You want these types of tools within easy reach. I've noticed that I did use the carbon paddles a lot for shaping my glass. There's a large one and a small one. I've got a large carbon block here. Here is this morning's project, one of my very first projects. Take it out here in the sun. It's nothing to brag about, but it was kind of fun to make. It actually, believe it or not, that took me 45 minutes. It took me 45 whole minutes to make that, and I didn't know for sure what I was doing. I was doing an exercise I was told to do. I was using the small punty sticks, and a punty rod is a 1/4 inch piece of clear glass, and what I was doing was heating it up and making a ball on the end of it and trying to manipulate it and center it and form it and shape it. It's much harder than it sounds, I'll tell you that. And I had this piece of stainless steel table or whatever the heck it was, I don't know. I picked it up over the years and I made a little ramp to deflect the flame and the heat and fumes up towards the fan itself. I've added a extra light here. I put it all on a stick so that when I come out here it starts my kiln. This is my temporary kiln, vermiculite in a fry baby, and then when I'm done with my project I'll stick it in there and I'll put this plate on top of it. I'll heat the plate with my flame and then put it on top and let it cool real slow. It's really important on this borosilicate glass. It will fracture and crack. You can see all kinds of examples of that. If you don't heat it right or let it, anneal it and let it cool down slowly, you'll get stress cracks and different things can happen to it. This will be a good exercise to see if I can heal those cracks. There's various things here. This is a piece of fluted glass that has a big chunk out of it. And just examples of all kinds of pretty work. Here was one that the stem broke off. I tried to reattach it. My son's going to be watching this video and he's going to get a good laugh. But he's also going to appreciate the effort and work that went into this bench. and the ventilation system. So I've got the whole package here, and it's done, and it's ready to go. And now I can move on to back into the Volkswagen things. I've got a friend that needs some help, and we might be bringing some of his engines over there and trying to start them up. Here, just cool stuff. Isn't that pretty? You know, a gear shift knob. I'm thinking gear shift knobs right off the bat. I think that is so cool.